This video is sponsored by the Outcast Seal.
Feeling like a seed in the ground, nigga, all I wanna do is grow. But that shit going too slow. Niggas be doing the most. Can wait till I make it and glow. Now let me just switch up the flow, switch up the pace.
For those who recognize anime subtleties, you'll find a new appreciation for this piece. On top of that, each person will have a one-of-one staple piece added to their fit. Outcast Seal, out now. No reason to wait, go get yours now.
I don't understand why a lot of these situations, people feel as though they're so entitled and because I'm being violated, my rights are being violated, blah blah. You're not white. You can't do that. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's fair.
And just because it should be that you can do that
doesn't mean it
is that way. So why are you throwing your life away off of what should be?
Welcome back to the neighborhood, y'all. Thank you for pulling up to... Why are you doing that?
you gotta add some...
Well, listen. We always clowning, as you see. Appreciate you coming back. We about to get into this Jubilee video. It's one of the... Bro.
Continue the thing.
Spectrum. And it's about, do all black people think the same? Now, honestly, I really think that, there is some black standards that we have, and that's, policing the N-word. I think that's one that comes to mind.
I don't think all black people police the N-word, though. I think it's a Twitter thing. I really think that a lot of what we consider our culture is just, what's popular right now with famous black people or things that have been inside of our culture for a minute. But honestly, I think a lot of those things tend to be, a lot of the things that we consider in our black culture are just trauma. I think our generation is going to be one of the first generations, I guess, again, to start to define what our culture really means. But yeah, that's as much as I'm going to say right now.
That's a good take. Let's get into it.
All black people aren't going to be the same.
Cool, and I agree with you. And that's why I'm in the disagree column. I don't need that kind of foolishness around the children.
Let's fight. What's up?
I thought she was white for a second.
Oh.
Yeah, she was light skinned, but I was like,
oh, you're right.
I was like a white woman.
What?
I do. When I used to eat it.
Fried chicken?
When I used to eat it.
Yeah, my thing is who doesn't like fried chicken? I feel it's such a stupid thing to define. That's basing our culture off watermelon. Who doesn't like these things? They're not even ethnic foods.
And it's
just fried chicken with corn.
You like
corn
something other than watermelon?
Yeah.
Nigga, what?
it's just it's not even specially seasoned fried chicken. Just fried chicken with black pepper, salt.
You can go to KFC and get some.
Yeah, it's not super specific.
You can go to Popeyes and get some.
There's way more specific things that could be.
Well, also there is some people put some spice on it.
Yeah, people put different things like cake.
But I think that's just cooking. Everybody can make their own way about.
Yeah, I just think it's such a vague. It's like rice. Like saying do you like rice? Yeah, but
it's a main.
The funny thing though is I feel you're right.
I thoroughly enjoy fried chicken. I love it. I understand the stereotypes about it and all that kind of stuff, but I love it.
Yeah, and I think that's what he's saying,
I'm
right?
not really a fan of
stereotypes.
Chicken.
A lot of, I feel like these.
You've never had fried chicken?
I have had it. I don't enjoy it. I don't really eat fried foods. I try to eat pretty healthy. So, would you guys be offended if I had dreads? Since I'm biracial, since I'm half black and half white. So where is the line? If someone's
the interesting thing is this, right? With biracial people, I think that you're automatically just assumed to be the minority when you're biracial. So if there's a kid that's black and white, you're looked at and categorized as being a black kid. You're not looked at as being a white. Yeah,
honestly.
I think the complexion. Yeah, the complexion
that's
matters.
What people, I think people usually give that argument, but honestly, in like 2022, people are just basing it straight off skin color. Like there are people that are like light and they're black, like they have black features, but they're wicked light, and some people won't even necessarily know. Like
that. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah.
When was this? When was this video made?
Oh, this is probably let's see, 2018. So this was after his like Trump this and that.
Oh, okay.
This cookout needs to just die. Like, no more cookouts. Nah, bruh, just go home. Like, there ain't no cookout.
I'm sorry, I strongly agree because I don't like the idea of perpetuating this concept that all black people have to be the same and think the same and act the same. I don't think he's fully understood. People like Kanye are creatives and he uses like creative speech. And some people just take him at face value or like kind of like the literal sense of what he's saying. And if you did that, every creative could be taken the wrong way.
I disagree with that, Deep. Like, I don't think that he's so creative and that his words are being misinterpreted. Like, he's making very specific phrases, like, black people chose to be slaves. That's completely untrue, and in my opinion, that's just unacceptable.
But I think that's people misunderstanding what he's saying. I really don't think he's trying to.
Yeah, how do you interpret that?
No, I think what he's saying is there's a mindset.
I don't want to go down that path.
I just realized what you were about to say.
He was trying to say it in the term of like, it was a choice for you to stay there when you knew that you could have done whatever else to get out, and maybe you would have ended up dead, but it would have been better than being a slave. So I don't. It's not like I'm. Whoa.
This is not you talking to Kanye. This negates the millions of people who did.
Don't you believe that today there are people whose mindset they're corporate slaves or they're people.
But you gotta be careful with the language you use.
Another thing that I have is that why we always try to like monopolize this word slave. We're not the first group of people who've been slaves. Mm-hmm. They're still slaves now. Like slave is just means you don't use work for people for free, and they own you and they make sure that you can't do anything without their okay.
Yeah,
they're mad people that's been going on forever.
Slaves still exist to this day.
Yeah, but we feel for some reason as a community we feel like we have like a monopoly on these certain things that have to do with us. Like, slavery, you must be talking about us. Or anything that has to do with, like, slave. Oh, it's oppressing me. It's because, it's like,
I think
isn't.
When we're the context, you're in America.
Yeah, but
the person is American. You're talking about slavery.
Yeah, that person might be talking about that. I'm talking about that. I'm saying when someone just sees any reference to slaves or slavery or oppression, and they think they're talking about their oppression or their slavery or their...
Oh, fair.
And so we think that you can't even use, like, the word slavery without it meaning... The word slavery, they're saying, is always
yes, I would agree.
Slavery.
I would agree that it's usually assumed that they're referring to American slavery towards Black Americans.
But there's mental slavery. There's different kinds of slavery. Slavery is a word. That's what I'm trying to get at. And in the same way that I guess I had the argument for like people using the N-word, is that you just can't get caught up with words. You can't be letting words control you. And I agree. That's where we are now with certain things, where people say words and people are like, "Whoa!" And so you gotta you just can't let yourself have these triggers, and you can't let yourself not be nuanced.
Because then you can't actually.
You can't go past that, and you can never evolve past that because you're not letting it.
I said strongly agree. It was created to monitor the minority in the group. Back in the day, it was the Irish, it was Italians, and so it's ingrained into the system of policing. And that's the problem. I think we have to reframe what policing is now. And until we do that, it will always be targeting people of color because that's what it was created to do.
I agree with that to an extent. I think policing is designed to, you have the ruling class, and then whoever is not in that class, you want to make sure they're in check. Yeah. That's really what it is. So if you're not in a position of power or you can't speak, have a voice, you're always going to be the one that's being taken advantage of.
That's true.
So we didn't get our money up. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, because we're not in the...
If we really want to change, complaining about it is really not going to do anything. You just have to become a person that can make decisions. And then you can make a decision of how you get treated. It's kind of like when you're growing up. Like when you're a kid, Your parents tell you what you have to do and what you can do, and there's nothing you can do about it. But once you start making your own money, now you have control. Now you have power to do what you want.
I see it as like there's a little bit of a socio-economic piece to it. It's like kind of saying the SEC mostly prosecutes white people. Through like years of institutional racism, you know, where there's poverty and there's communities that are kind of like have created this like perfect storm of issues, like whether it's legal issues, people robbing each other, selling drugs or whatnot. You know, the idea is if you police that neighborhood more, you're gonna have more of them arrested.
Can I ask you, Deep? Can I ask you, like, do you feel like there are equal amount of arrests happening on Wall Street than there are happening in the hood?
Like the white collar like crimes are I do think that they're less like monitored and less, you know, but without having all the.
No, because people who have that money are paying so that they can make sure that they're not getting caught. The person that's just selling drugs has nobody hiding them.
Have access to more people to get you out of different things and situations.
That's what I'm saying. You got people to hide you. You got people to pay.
You have money and you have resources with people.
If you're just on a corner doing something blatantly illegal, there's nothing negating.
You don't have people that are in positions of power to help you get out of that situation.
Not even positions of power. It's that you don't have. You're just doing it's too obvious. That's what I'm saying. You can't. How do you hide that? If you're doing something in like some financial crime where it's like some math thing you did incorrectly, and that's how you're stealing this money, someone has to go look into the math and see and redo your calculations and be like, oh, well, you did this when you should have done that. Just like computer crime, like someone has to figure these things out. Whereas if you're physically doing a crime, it's super obvious. So there's less. No one has to like. It would be one thing if it was talking about like.
Okay, so I agree with you on the aspect of figuring out and it's more obvious, but I'm talking more about the fact that the person who's selling drugs on.
But I'm saying in poor like shitty white towns, the people who are most getting arrested are still those people who are doing obvious crimes because the police are not that smart. They're just going after whatever is the easiest thing to get. Low-hanging fruit, which are always the
fair.
physical.
Yeah, you're saying the aspect of low-hanging fruit, but I'm also talking about the aspect like people could potentially be getting out of these crimes or getting different deals that necessarily.
But that's because they have money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like somebody who's poor and is selling drugs doesn't have the money to do those things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The data that I need, but I do feel that they don't suffer as much consequence when they commit crimes.
That's very true. You got to look at the prison industrial complex here too in the U.S. That's huge business. So, and if you look at a group of citizens that have been perceived as no value having to society or whatever, okay, boom, we're gonna push them, we're gonna pipeline them into that system.
Yeah, and I also think that, you know, the qualifications to become a police officer are so low, and it's like, my life is literally in your hands, man. Like, if I get pulled over, maybe that will be the day that I go home to be with the Lord, and I think that that's really...
Another thing I have to get to is our own education.
Of knowing what to do?
You're going to be... People are
just knowing in general.
No, I'm saying police are going to overuse their power, and that's just a given. It's going to happen. And if you're involved, it's going to happen to you. It's going to happen. Yeah. But what you can do is make sure you
understand the law.
Not just understand the law, but just understand people. Like, I don't understand why a lot of these situations, people like feel as though they're so entitled and because I'm being violated, my rights are being violated. Blah blah. You're not. But you can't do that. I don't understand.
That's fair.
And just because it should be that you can do that
doesn't mean it
is that way. So why are you throwing your life away off of what should be? Like, okay, yeah, it should be that way, but it's not. Your life is more valuable.
And I agree with you. At that point in time, the only thing you should be doing, you should be doing at that point in time is figuring out to get out of that situation.
I don't understand why people are like trying to become martyrs and things like that. But
really tough for me because you don't want to be distrustful of the police, but they're so incredibly distrustful of us that it's like you could literally kill me.
My father worked in law enforcement.
I was gonna say that I don't think the only people that fuck with the police are people whose family members are police officers.
Literally about to talk about
I was gonna say even white people, they're not they're not coming up to police cars and things like that. And
just chilling.
If there's a police person on the block, they're not going out and just vibing unless they know that person. People are not. They're police. Everyone knows that they're police.
Yeah.
People are not trying to commit crimes around police. People are not.
Yeah, nah.
Regardless of what it is, the thing is that I think that yes, if you're black, there's a dynamic there that exists inherently, and there's gonna be a different dynamic than somebody who is white, and you just have to deal with it. There's nothing you can do to undo the years of why that dynamic is that way. So all you can do is do the best you can in the constraints of that relationship.
3, 2, 1.
What?
You moonwalking? Which one? How you gonna moonwalk? Which one are you going?
What's yours?
I would say yes, because I act differently compared to any situation that I'm in.
Yeah,
because I think in the real world, you always have to have some type of mask or a hat, depending on what you're going to work.
Yeah.
You're going to school, depending on what classroom you're going to and what you need to be in order to be that student.
Yeah,
there's always going to be a mask.
I think this whole thing about like I'm on myself all the time is for people who are one-dimensional, or I think it's for people who are one-dimensional.
And I think that just gets you in trouble.
One spot. It's not even just about getting in trouble. Like, I don't talk about like the computer stuff that I talk about with people that don't
understand
that stuff or who aren't interested in that stuff, because it's just there's no reason
to do it.
And I'm multi-dimensional, meaning that there's probably something else that we can bond better on that's in this subject area. And that's what I'll focus on. That's what I'll lead with, instead of just being like, no, I'm just this computer guy, and that's the only thing I have to offer, and that's where you go with. And I think that same thing happens with like people's perceived black identity, is that's all they have to offer. So those people who do use that as like the only thing, they're like, oh, I do this, I act this way everywhere I am. It's because that's all you have. Like if you had other stuff, you would do whatever would be best for.
Yeah, because like we can look at it like, oh,
if they like this, you'd be talking about that sports team, or you'd be like
blackness is like you're playing basketball, you're playing football, but it's like you might be looked at differently as a black person if you play like hockey or you play like lacrosse. I feel like
I can see that people can look at it that way, but it depends. But I'm saying if there was a hockey in the hood, people would be doing it. It's the fact that it's not there.
Yeah.
I agree that I act differently around people that aren't black, just because like corporate America doesn't want to hear me talking, doesn't want to hear me speaking in slang, and I am not happy about it. Like I wish that it was different, but I feel like I need to do it to fit in.
And this is what I've started to learn. Like when I first maybe thought about it that way. The reason why every group of people has different slang.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want someone.
Even with your group of friends, right? Think about your group of friends. You talk in maybe a different way. Yeah,
but slang. What I'm saying is that it doesn't matter the type of slang it is. Work is not communicating with other people, and work is not the spot for it. Obviously, there is some slang that gets intertwined with it.
Yeah.
Or for people who can also understand it. But at work, you're trying to get the job done as efficiently as possible in as short amount of time. And so you use the common language that everyone can learn, everyone knows, so that you can communicate the easiest. Like in the same way that this is also true for like international companies. If this is like a Chinese international company, and say they're in some countries in Africa or something like that, if you know Mandarin, you're gonna be speaking Mandarin with whoever these other people are, because that's the country, that's the company, that's the language that the company speaks.
Yeah.
And if this is like an English-speaking company, it's in another country, and maybe it's a European country, and they might speak Portuguese or whatever. In that business, you speak Portuguese at home, but because everyone in your company speaks English, even if they are from different countries, you speak English because that's what everyone knows.
Yeah.
That's what the type of time is. It's not about. There are things that play where maybe there's things that we find normal that aren't necessarily as accepted in more white-owned corporate America. But that's not anything to do with the language per se, I'd say. Like you need
example.
Like talking about like hairstyles and things like that has nothing to do with like how you communicate at work. But it has to do with what their ideal of like acceptable it has to do with.
To that group.
I strongly disagree. I am me wherever I go. I'm a proud black man, and I'm gonna speak my truth every day of the week. If you don't like it, Shit, it ain't on me. That's on you. And I feel like it's a disservice to anyone I'm around if I'm not being my authentic self. Because my white friends might want to hang out with me because I'm black. They want some flavor. So if I go in being something totally different, then
there's two different things. There's two different things. One thing is, are you changing yourself or are you changing how you're communicating who you are? And I'm changing how I'm communicating who I am, and I still remain the same.
Like, do you have a white voice?
Do I have a white voice? I know code. I'm a black man, trust me. Every black person growing up in America can code switch.
Then you need to move a little bit.
But no. Hey, he said they need to move a little bit. I act different when I'm in different surroundings. And no, but see, how would I ever be accepted if I'm always code switching? That means I'm always acquiescing to something else. You see what I'm saying?
This is another thing though. Code switching doesn't mean that you're changing your source. It just means you're changing the way you're transmitting. If I'm happy, I'm gonna be happy regardless, and I'm just gonna show that differently so I can express it to people who can understand it. But I'm not gonna speak Japanese.
But that's the source. What you're saying, that source is just your emotion. We're talking about the communication of.
Yeah, I am this. I had this experience. I'm gonna express that in a certain way. I like this thing. Yeah. I'm gonna express that in a way that those people can understand. That's really all it's about to me. I'm not really I code switch just so people can understand, and so people can. There's no translation.
I think that's still code switching though.
I didn't say it's not. I said code switching. I understand that code switching isn't changing who you are. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think I don't disagree with. I disagree with like that's who I am, and like me changing is code switching, but I don't think that that's changing who you are, because you can still believe in something and talk about it in that way that they would understand, regardless of the fact that you're talking different than if you were with a black group of people.
Okay, yeah.
In order to be accepted, you got to bring you.
Do you guys, when you say code switch, do you mean you change the actual words you say, or do you mean you change the tone of your voice?
I change how I say it, and I change what I say. Yeah. I'll walk into a business meeting different than how I walk into the basketball court. So that's me changing to fit the scenario to benefit the end goal. And I don't view that as a negative. I view that as me focusing on what the end goal is.
But I feel like American society has made black people operate in that fashion. Because nobody asks white people to code switch. They can be.
Nah, but they do though. Everyone code switches. Like
I also think it's because corporate America was built by white people.
No, but the thing that we always discount is if you looked at it this way, it'd make a lot more sense. Say we're at work with all Americans, and American is everyone. Like that's the group that's everyone. Then everyone has their ethnicity group. Mm-hmm. So like Jamaican, that's an ethnicity group. People got Italians, people got Irish, people got this, that, and the other. When those people are at home with their grandparents and with those type of people, they speak differently than they speak when they're at work. They talk about different things, they eat different foods. The same way that we do our stuff that we consider black. The problem is that for some reason, we're only focusing on, we have to do this. And yes, we have to do it but I think the only reason we do that more is because a lot of people they don't consider the corporate world a part of their world. You know what I'm saying? Mm. So because of that, they feel as though they're traveling a further distance. But if you're a black person that like were around that and like your parents were around that, then to you the difference of the thing is like it's just your Venn diagram is a lot bigger. Like what you consider
you've been exposed to different things, so then you can.
So it's just like that's not home. That's just some other spot in the area of known. Whereas some people, it's like they're going to a whole different world. And that's why.
And people are moving different, talking different, looking different.
That's why it's completely different to them.
Yeah.
Ooh, I shook up everything.
Like in America, China, wherever, they accept it. We're around like Visa. But I'm the only one that has to go around and say, "Oh, hi, how you doing?"
I am proud to be black.
What kind of question is that? I'm not proud to be black. What do you think? You think someone's gonna move to the other side, or what?
If you're not.
Wait, what do you
like even I feel like even if you're white and you're saying that you're not proud to be white,
it's just stupid.
What?
Why would you not be proud to be?
Because it's also a part of who you are in yourself.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're gonna be proud. Like
I'm all for white pride.
Yeah, you could be proud to be white. I don't got no problem with it. I think you look silly when you start saying like I'm not proud to be white.
Yeah.
Like
If you should be proud of who you are. That's it. Who you are and your family. Why would you not be proud of that? That's ridiculous to expect people to not be.
Well, all right, y'all. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm glad that we all strongly agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, you know, we can have these discussions and like still go home knowing that we're family, and I love being black. I love that blackness is expressed in many different ways. It's not just one way.
I'm proud to be biracial. I'm proud of my immigrant half, proud of my black half. My ancestors bought their own freedom from slavery.
Yeah, I love being black. I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, yeah, it presents its challenges, but I couldn't fathom being something else. So I am very proud to be an African American here in America. Yeah. This was fun.
So let us know some of your thoughts around blackness and, you know, some of the topics that were actually brought up in this video. We would love to hear about it, and we'll get back to you on those. Thank you for coming out. Y'all have a good day.
See you guys later.